Yes? Okay, so, apparently I needed to say all those things first, and I had to kind of go, okay, so what was the other energy work point already? I lost it, but I know I've got it. It's right here, because I had a kind of a light bulb moment in the longer energy work video that I posted just now. I went in the first, I suppose, 20 minutes or so of the video is I'm talking about a symbol that we have worn back in the day. It's like 10 years ago, at least, that we worked with this thing, a man-made metal, shape, triangle, basically, with a couple of details to it. Types of symbols like that are in use in New Age type communities, sometimes places like that. The thing that I suddenly realized as I was typing out my little notes for the video, for the description of the video just now, I was reminded for some reason of the consecration element in that type of man-made artifact. So I just want to draw your attention to this as a phenomenon, right? So you can maybe have a look around at where that appears for you. So what is consecration? What is it? So I suppose we all basically know what the word means. I could look it up in the big dictionary. Hang on a second. Because I'm old school, we have 2 volumes, like so, of the shorter Oxford English Dictionary. So I'm going to sit here and very old school look up the word consecration in here, right? Instead of going interneting and all the things that we all do the whole time. Confutation, connex, consentant, coming close. Conscionableness. Good Lord, there's words in here that you have heard of sometime or other. Consanguinous. Consanguinous. Consarcination. It gotta be in here, and it isn't. Yes, it is. Consecration. Got you. Consecrate is a verb. Dedicated. To set apart as sacred to the deity. There you have it. To dedicate solemnly to some sacred or religious purpose. To make sacred or holy. They can say this way better than me. To make sacred or holy, right? To set apart as sacred to the deity. There you have it. To devote or dedicate to some purpose, to make an object of veneration, to hallow, sanctify, and so on and so forth. So, what does this mean exactly? Glasses back on. It means that you are connecting in terms of vibration an object, a brush, right? An old, very fond brush because it's all twisted. I do not even want to think of dedicating this to whatever higher type of consciousness there might be, because I am restricting its function. It would mean that I would only be able to use the brush in a way that walks that particular path. Okay? I've got another little thing I want to show you. Put my mug away, put my dictionary away. I'm going to dig out a little goddess deck that I made last year. Here's a horse goddess, Gaulish, Frankish horse goddess. We have Kali from India, We have a Tara, a white Tara, I think, or a green Tara, whichever it is. We have Sara Lakali, who's a Mother Mary figure from the gypsy culture in the south of France. Loads more. I have loads, there's like a whole pack of them. I collected images that I like, that resonate with cultural images, not images necessarily of the divine. Here's a Mother Mary statuette, let me put it this way, that is actually in a little chapel quite close by here, a couple of miles yonder, in another little village. It's beautiful, surrounded by trees. Those types of statues, the Catholic type, right, they're actually consecrated to the church. For some reason, that is not a problem. To me, it's not a problem. It may be a problem to somebody who's had a problem with Catholic heritage. I never grew up with any Catholic heritage, so I can afford to sort of ignore the consecratedness of the statuette and just look at her as an old mother goddess. This is another good example. This late medieval statue, made from one single tree trunk, as you can maybe see through the thinness of her shape. They may have been consecrated when they were made. This is also the gold one here, is also a fairly old statuette. I seem to recall 15th century or something like that. So their consecrating happened in a very earlier age, and there's a possibility that there was, what I'm seeing now, looking at this and thinking about this, is that the priest who performed this ritual, who connected this statuette to a particular function, that was actually done by that person and the people around him, to all likelihood, in a relative state of innocence and trust. And that's important. When that's the case, you are later on, you are free to visit, to work with it, there's less of a limitation. There was a lot more in this case of these two statues, certainly. There was a lot more knowledge of human frailty back then, and acceptance. And so that, combined with a state of innocence and love, basically, and humility, those are all qualities that will work for a consecration to create a sense of a connection to the sacred, which is the whole deal. This is what this whole thing is about. Whenever a consecration happens in a state where there is no humility and no innocence and no acceptance, or very little, or only pretend, right? That's where the whole thing becomes very wobbly. That's what I'm thinking. And why I'm talking about this also is I had one experience myself of an object being consecrated, that I actually could feel it, and that it had also gone bad. Other than with the man-made symbol that I talked about in the other video, this video will be impossible to understand, so I'll stick the link to the other one in the bottom here for you to go back to if you want, if you're interested in this matter, because otherwise you'll be a complete loss. In 6 months from now, it'll be like, what's you going on about? So I visited Delphi in Greece, the Apollonian temple complex, next number of years ago. When was it? In 2011 or so, something like that. It had been a lifelong dream of mine to go and visit Delphi and the Oracle and all that stuff. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. I made another video about that. I will find it and stick the link in here as well, because it's a really nice story, I think. The thing I want to refer to at this point is in the temple complex, in the museum actually that is there now, just adjacent to the grounds of the temple complex that used to be back in those days, back in the times when it was all in use. In the museum, right in the middle, is the navel of the earth stone, the omphalos, it's called in Greek. It's like a large, from the floor up, this high, big round boulder type stone. What is that? Almost a meter, say a yard in diameter, and it has carvings over the outside of like garlands in stone. It's probably marble, but it's really old, so it looks a bit weathered, and it's kind of a very pale skin, like my skin color, about that, a bit grayer. I was okay with that. I was watching, I was looking at all the sculptures, I was enjoying myself hugely. I approached the omphalos without, a care in the world, really. And then, as I came close to it, at about a distance like that, so 20 centimeters or so, I felt like I was hit in the head, like this, and here as well. So I was banging into some kind of a force field, really. So I didn't know anything about energy work or any of it back in those days. I had no clue. And I only felt that the vibration that came out of this field was utterly unpleasant to me, and I wanted nothing more than to just hightail it out of there as quickly as I could, which is what we did. We'd seen what we wanted to see, and so I realized, or I concluded very quickly, that at that point somehow it came to me that there was something wrong with the dedication, the consecration, if you like, of that stone. And it is important to realize in this context that the whole religious thing going on at that time, in where the omphalos had its function, was actually a place where the cult of Apollo was instated over the top of the very important mother goddess shrine that used to be there for millennia before that. So it became a money-making machine. The Apollonian oracle and the whole thing of the Oracle of Delphi and all that became a money-making machine that supplanted what used to be there. The oracular presence of the interaction with the forces of nature that used to be there, about which we know virtually nothing, because all the documentation that we've got, certainly from those periods of time and all that, is from much later, and so there's descriptions and things. But I felt that if I look back at it now and the way it felt, the discrepancy between my own field back in the day, and I had no clue, nothing, really, I should really go back and check and have another look at it, but it's not appealing, so I don't want to go back to something that's unpleasant, really. You should be able to check for some reason, or to find out how exactly this works, but it has to do with the dedication or the restriction of use, if you like. The making sacred of that stone meant excluding people like me. So it had an immensely authoritarian vibe. Speaking of authority, yes. So there's that. That was my experience at the Omphalos of Delphi. It was a bit of a shock to me at the time. That's how I learned lots of things, because something happened, and then afterwards I just had to go and sit and like, what the hell just happened, Lots of that, lots and lots of that. But I wanted to draw your attention to the fact of dedication and consecration as a human, magical, if you like, interfering in a vibrational pattern that is either there by nature. So another little point that I can make, sort of that's really sitting really close to this, I thought of this a week ago or so, is that often churches and chapels and shrines in our Western Christian culture are built on either a site that used to have metaphysical meaning, if you like, for peoples who were not Christians, so before the current state of civilization, if that's what you want to call it. There was also often an earth vibrational PowerPoint there. So there is, right, I don't think those points really change very much. So a really good exercise as to vibrational fields and things is for us to visit churches, for example, and try to distinguish within ourselves the responses that we have to, on the one hand, the consecration of the building, right? The ideas and philosophy behind that, and the often in Catholic churches there's shrines still, Mother Mary shrines, or what you call those? I lost it now. Where, Pietà-like shrines where there's a Mother Mary with a body of Christ in her lap, those types of shrines. So there's those, and there's all sorts of different Christ shrines and saints and different departments for everybody, right? They're all consecrated in different ways. But there's also often a lot of popular devotion going on at all those places. Like right here, there's a Mary shrine, a Lourdes shrine actually, that's been recreated out of cement. It's funny and pretty at the same time. It's over yonder in a different village. I think I've shown you sometime a while ago. And all that thing has been consecrated as well. There is no earth power spot there as far as I've been able to ascertain. But what I'm trying to hand to you here in terms of vibrational exercise is that actually there's levels, you respond to everything. You can respond to the consecration of the thing where you are, with the building and the statues and all the rest of it. There's a devotional vibration going on where there's people coming endlessly and endlessly, lighting candles, bringing flowers, burning incense, praying, of course. There's a whole vibration to that. And then there may be, quite often, wherever you are in the world, whether you're in Thailand or in the Netherlands or in Alaska or anywhere, there will be an earth energy thing going on right there. Most often, what I've read so far, it's another fascinating subject. There's lots of people who work with, what do they call those? I can only think of the Dutch word now. Dowsing rods, those kind of things, in all different systems to map out vibrational things going on in the earth underneath you, right next to you, right? And some people can feel it properly. I can sometimes feel it. It depends, there's a type of energy field from the earth that I'm sensitive to, and those I connect with easiest, and there's lots more. There's so much going on. All that, I think in 9 out of 10 cases the field is positive and supportive. There are situations, places which are less supportive, where there's something else going on. So some people douse to map this stuff out for themselves. However, I think it's basically for us energy students, if you like. It can be really useful to just if wherever you are, where there's a place where it makes a dedicated place, a church or a chapel, makes a kind of special room. It sort of allows you to become aware of different things going on in different sides of the energy spectrum, if you like. So that's and they're conjuncting. They're really next to each other. You are in one and the same place. and there are these things going on, and we tend to normally stop at the devotional side of things if that's something that we feel okay with, right? If you're not okay with that type of thing, you will not want to be there in any day. However, if it's something that's not uncomfortable, you will perceive the dedication or the devotional field, and I'm inviting you to become aware of the consecration level above that, which kind of allows the devotional business to take place, because the suggestion is that if I consecrate this thing, then you will be able to use it to come back to it later at another time in another season and do your devotional connecting again on your own, right? So there's all those kinds of little mechanisms taking place. However, all that can only take place in a location that supports, theoretically, positive exchange of energies, right? So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope this was food for thought. Thank you for watching as always, and bless you, right? I am blessing you to the extent that I can. Okay, see you next time. Bye-bye.